through them. He did it right. I mean, he broke them into sections. And then as they complete that section, they go to the next section. So, you know, on their process, I couldn't tell you 100% where they're at because it was hands off. I want them to take care of that. That is a committee that we allowed by this board to give us recommendations back. They don't have power of the purse and they don't have power to initiate any of their changes. It still will go back to this board to institute the changes, or if we want to hire a counseling firm to help with the writing of the new zoning, if this board decides to change any of their recommendations. But they're doing it methodically. It's a pretty well put together team, and there are some real, I guess I would say, worthwhile residents that are really pouring into this. I didn't want it to be the town board telling the residents what to do. I think this whole board wanted the residents to tell us what's been bothering them and what they think needs to be addressed. So the majority of that board is not town affiliated employees. It's more residents on that board than it is from the town. So I'm hoping to get something back from them soon. I know that they are still making inroads. Howard Newton is the chairman of that. He does let me know with an email that they're having another, when he sends an email out saying, hey, we're gonna have another meeting on such a day, I get an email saying that that's happening. That's all I get. I don't know who attended or what they worked on. But he does keep me in the loop just to let me know that they are still meeting and they're still working on it. I'm hoping that they get it done, you know, as expeditiously as possible.
Yeah.
But there's our comprehensive, I thought you were talking about the comprehensive townwide plan for a minute, but the zoning committee is got a big job ahead of them because we have a pretty comprehensive set of zoning laws in the town. They're like this thick. It's not like we're starting from scratch. So not everything will be changed, I don't think. They're looking at what should be changed.
Larry, I didn't want to cut you off. Add something.
Speaking of the ARPA thing, I don't know if anybody saw the paper today. Malone had bought some property and they were working on work toward their salt storage shed. And they'd already spent money, but apparently there's a clause there where they could use the ARPA funds to reimburse themselves for money already spent on a public project. So if there was something that came up that you had to move on quickly, you could spend town money and reimburse yourself later, apparently. I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but I mean,
Yeah.
I was surprised to see that they were able to do it in the paper.
Yeah, and basically what happened, that the ARPA money was put out into a four-corner box when it first came out, and you could use it for internet services, high-speed internet. You could use it to upgrade your website. And the reason they allowed that was because during the pandemic, they wanted the constituents to be able to, the residents of whatever municipality, to be able to go to a website and find out the newest information. So you could use some of it for that type of expenditure, upgrading your website. We did come out and we did, after the pandemic hit, we have instituted an emergency plan. We paid about, I think a little over $2,000 to get that put into place. So we have that now where we didn't have it before. The other two corners were either sewer or water, okay? Although my good friend over here wants nothing to do with Rick's and F because he thinks that it's being spent on private land up there.
Can I at least defend myself?
Yeah, no, I will.
Seeing that.
Well, we're still friends, but anyway.
Okay, but
like I said, what I want,
can't let that go and not
understand,
comment on it.
what I want you to understand is that when we put municipal lines in, they're never, very rarely, I shouldn't say never is a bad word, they're very rarely on town-owned property, okay? They're always within a right-of-way of either state, county, or town-owned property. So if we put a water line up at Rickson Ave, that we're looking to do. Or we complete the water line and fix what over on Macy Lane. The town owns none of that land, but they would have to have the right-of-way in place to allow the lines to be put there, and that we could use either your money, municipal money, or ARPA money to put that project in. So those are all things that will go on as the project progresses. It's like anything else. Obtaining right-of-ways are the biggest thing. Even if we move forward with the Morsel Water Project, we still have to work on people's land to be able to put those lines in. So there will be updates to easements to make sure our easements are still up to date and that we're allowed to do that. So we're not working on private land when the right-of-ways are given to the town.
Okay, can I at least defend myself?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, Kevin, here's a map of Rixon Avenue. Here is the original plan on Rixon Avenue to go down Rixon Avenue along our town highway and put a water line in. There's only 3 or 4 homes there to be serviced. Okay, and I think this is great, and I'm behind it, 100%. However, all of a sudden, the plans got changed. Okay, we already paid for this engineering. However, the plans got changed. This, Kevin, is why I'm so upset.
Yeah, maybe I can explain.
Okay, no, let me defend the statement you made, please.
Yeah,
And you
fine.
are my friend.
Mhm.
Okay, but all of a sudden, here we are, is taking a water main and bringing it over to private property. And we're using ARPA funding, and I voted no on it. I'm opposed to it. And I'm gonna, every time we're spending money on Rixon Avenue on this project right here, I'm gonna vote no on it. Now, you probably have the votes, and it's up to you guys. I'm gonna defend myself on this. It's not right. And this project should be looked into. We're spending ARPA money improperly. And you opened the door for me, and thank you. And then you turned
Always
around,
do that, right?
then you turned around and got another map and put my name on it. So I am gonna defend this.
Hey, are them
So-
available for public viewing or?
No.
So.
No?
no,
Oh,
they're-
oh, you
they're-
mean the
they're-
maps?
Yeah?
Yeah, they're
Would they be,
engineering that,
Kevin?
they're not their right maps yet. So I got the most up-to-date engineering map.
You
This
mean it's
here,
been changed again?
it's been engineered as the engineering goes through. This was not engineered, okay? This was something that I gave to everybody to look at.
Kevin.
Okay?
My point is this,
Well, you-
Okay, without
let me
running off
talk
on a
now,
tangent
because
with you.
you've made a couple false statements here.
No,
So
no,
first of all,
not at all.
These are not the engineering, okay? These were a couple of rough drafts of what we may be able to do up there by the engineer, okay? And originally, we were talking about looking at this going in here because we were gonna go down Tremblay and then come around the back side, which would have cost a heck of a lot more money. And not only that, we found out when they were doing the surveying that there was Verizon lines down through here that we would have had to work around, which could have cost us a lot of money if we would have hit. To stay away from all that, we decided to move it. This system can't be left as a deadhead. Oh, let me say, you can't ever say can't. You can leave it as a deadhead, okay?
But it won't function as
It
well.
won't function, and it won't give fire flow, okay? You need a loop system so that water can be pulled from both sides.
I would like, and it won't cost us anything.
This is in a road that is between the
I know where it
Richard
is.
Ave property and the Tremblay property. I'll say
I
its
know
name.
where it is.
And this would be turned over as a right of way to the town. So that would have to be done to even put in that water line the way it is on here. But these, again, were preliminary drawings. That was before any of the surveying was done. It was it was drawn out on a technical drawing map for us to look at so we could start with something. And that's the problem down here, is that things get shut down and turned around before we even get going and know what the project is. And
Okay.
this is not the project.
But we are all of a sudden concerned with providing water to some building lots which are unbuildable. They're undersized. No one could ever do anything with these lots on Rixon Avenue. And for this project to be expanded into private property is more expensive. It's taking more of our ARPA money. It's taking more engineering fees. And that's all I have to say. And Kevin, you know I'm right.
No, you're wrong, because you don't put it in a
Try to say
deadhead
it.
line.
Try to say
You
you're
don't put it
right.
in a deadhead line. You
Ken?
never do that for a
That-
waterfall. There will be two
That's a big-
hydrants on there. And you're wrong again, because we stopped the water line right here.
I know you did.
We never went
Yeah.
back there. These were preliminary drawings. As we move forward, the project changes to suit the needs.
Okay,
So
this
those-
project,
And these are within,
okay,
these are within 100 feet. These property lines are gonna be within
I know where
100
it
feet
is.
of the
Yeah.
lateral. So was no need to put 8-inch main down that far. Like I said, those weren't the engineering prints. Those were so that the board could look at them and get an understanding of where we were going with the project.
okay, we belong to the New York Rural Water Association.
Yup.
Would you give me the go-ahead to contact a technician and review this with him?
Yeah.
It won't cost us a nickel.
Yeah,
You look at, don't you?
I have no problem with contacting them and having them come up.
I will have them review this map.
That
Okay.
is not the map.
I'll bring them down to this office and
Why don't
review.
you take some time, instead of doing it here, and come down to my office during the week where I can show you all the paperwork and all the folders, and then you'd have a better understanding of what you're talking about before you come up here in the meeting.
I
and we
don't
sit
think
here
I
and
should be
argue.
insulted. That's
And
not right.
I'm just saying, I'm not insulting you. I'm saying, come down here and we can explain what's going on, rather than argue about it.
I'm not arguing
Because
about
I
it.
can't show you because it's all in that room, but
This
I'll
town
take
board
you-
is
I'll-
responsible for spending ARPA money. We are responsible for
Yep.
that.
We sure are, and we actually got a consultant to make sure it's being spent on what it can be spent on, because I didn't want to be responsible for that.
Well, the consultant is the
Can the
same
public
engineer
view
who's
the
drawn
engineered
this up.
map?
Huh?
Can the public view the new engineered map?
As, if they decide to move forward with the project, right now, all we did is do the engineering for it, and we're trying to get the permitting through the Clinton County Health Department, okay? It's been at the Clinton County Health Department for about 3 weeks now. I think that they're just about there. There's 2 issues left that we need to get to them, and they're on septics, where the septics are located on those plots of land, to make sure that we're not interfering with any of the septics that are on those lands. So I think that is the last step that Mr. Davies needs down there to give LaBerge and the town, okay, these are the approved set of plans that are acceptable to Clinton County Health Department. We don't get to dictate it. The engineer don't get to dictate it. The Clinton County Health Department gets to dictate whether or not the engineering is correct for that.
What I'm pretty much asking you is, can I look at that, what they've accomplished so far, their proposed engineer map?
If you want to come down to my office, I'll show them to you.
Not
I'm not putting
tonight.
them out there yet because they're not,
Yeah,
until I get them stamped.
yeah.
And I get the permit approval from Clinton County Health Department, then it's not good to throw things out there that may not, or could change again. But
Yeah.
if you want to come down, or anybody who wants to come down,
Yeah.
I will, including Mr. Facto, if he wants to come down, I will bring him through. okay?
I think they'll get a hold of you
But people
Monday.
tend not to, and then they wanna know what's
Huh?
going
We're
on.
closed for Veterans Day Monday.
Is it
Kevin,
Veterans Day?
one other kind of unrelated question.
Get a hold of
about
them Tuesday then.
the folks on Rickson Avenue, there's like, what, 4 of them, 4 homes? 3 or 4, huh? And my question is this, what did you say, 4?
4 and 1 business.
4, okay. Up on Sand Road, where we have our other water issue, the state of New York was providing water to those folks. And being on the water committee, I would like to see if I could get the people on Rickson until this project goes, if I can get weekly water delivery for them as well. Because they've tested, I have the testing report. And they shouldn't really be consuming it.
Nobody is up there, to my knowledge. I spoke
No, I
to
mean
everybody.
Rickson Avenue.
I agree.
Right, but do
They
you,
got 2 issues up there. They
right,
actually got 3, because they got some PFOS, they got some PFOA,
Yes,
and
yes.
they got Pseudomonas up there.
Right.
I'm very familiar with those people up there.
sure,
And they can't even wash with
Right.
that stuff, okay? Unless you put a reverse osmosis
Yeah.
system in.
Yeah.
It takes up half the house, and it's very expensive, to maintain, which one of them did, okay? And they're
Yeah.
more than willing, were screaming at me maybe about 3 months ago, wondering what is taking so long to get this project going, after they spent all that money on that. There's 4 plus the business that are on there. But there are multiple properties, not only in the back, but alongside the road, that could become reusable if we get water there. So, everything ties into, something at some point. So even though we're helping right now 4 people in a running business up there, we have the possibility of adding about 5 more homes to the rolls. It's just the right thing to do. They've been dealing with it for 30 years up there.
so getting back to my question, not to get off base on it, but maybe if we were to email the county health department, they would add those 4 people on Rickson Avenue, so they then would add the group, be in addition to their delivery on Sand Road, the folks who are getting water there weekly, that we could maybe try to help the people on Rickson until this project may go. Would that be okay if I write that email?
Do you not think I've already did that, Reggie?
Oh, didn't know? You should have contacted
I've
me.
mentioned it several times at the
You've
board.
never said it to me. Never.
When you sit on the board members. I told you back when we started the Sand Road project that I asked them to add in the Rickson Ave on the PFOA and PFOS issues because I was.
Well, I
aware that
actually
it
did
was
too.
aware.
And I guess they don't want to do it,
Well,
apparently.
they are still concerned with getting this one taken care of before they move forward with that. If you want to write an email to any government official, town councilman or not, I do appreciate you asking or talking to me about it, so I'm at least aware of it.
And I'll send
That's
you a
nice.
copy of the email.
But
that
yeah,
sound?
if you want to contact them and ask where they
I will.
because the last time I had heard when I was talking to DEC near Health Department and Brian Davis at the Health Department is they were going to canvass that area and put the door knock signs up so
Sure.
that they could go up
Sure.
and test their water. And I'm not sure where they are in that process. I know that the Sand Road has progressed in the last 3 months more than it did in the last 2 years. Okay, and there's a lot going on with that. And, that's, again, until I get an MOU in my hand from the county and a couple other groups involved, then, again, I'm not gonna say on the record what we're gonna have, because until I got it in my hands and writing and sign, I don't do that.
What is
I can't promise
MOU?
what I can't.
What is MOU?
Memorandum of understanding. I've been working with the county and 3 other individuals, including another town, for approximately 2.5, 3 months now.
All right, I just got one more question I'd like to ask Mr. Facto. When you contact that Rural Water Association, would you ask them if, because of the distance of that road, how long Rixon Avenue is, and the number of homes up there, is it really necessary to loop it?
That's the exact point I was trying to make. And I will ask them and I'll report back to the board and answer that.
Can I make a comment on that? Kevin and I actually went up there. Bonnie Barcombe owns, what did we figure, 6, 7 lots?
Yeah.
There's 6 or 7 building lots up there that, of course, she's not gonna be able to sell them until
They
they
get water.
have water. You could get another 6 or 7 homes up there
Yeah.
if they had water. There's
Sure,
a building lot is
with all
there.
respect to you for doing that, they are undersized and you could never, there's not enough room there. They're undersized lots. You could never put a septic system on the lots. They're not big enough, sure. They're really not.
Based on our building lot size they are.
But saying he's right, Reg, could you ask them,
Sure, I mean, if you're.
say if it increased to
stand
10
corrected-
homes, would you still have enough water? If it increased to 10 homes up there?
Yeah, the only ones I know that are undersized for the lots were the ones behind the gated area back there, that's pretty much.
Cause you only need, what, 110 feet of road frontage?
Right, and 40 feet on the backyard and 25 foot on the side.
So
How much?
there's a possibility. I mean, even if she sold them as a double.
And those homes did have previous homes on it.
I'll research the size and drop you an email.
Isn't it
Okay.
isn't it 110?
150. There's some lots across from me that were 100, they're old.
Oh, you know what? I stand corrected. You
Yeah,
are
150.
absolutely
They were
right.
old
Yeah.
and they were
Road front.
100
Yeah.
footers, and then the board passed the thing increasing it to
Yeah.
150.
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
Larry, you're
Yeah,
absolutely right.
road frontage, yeah.
Yeah.
But as long as I finally got
150,
this,
so there's probably
Four.
4 lots. There's another 4 homes at least.
You think you do.
Basically.
Yeah, and you still gotta look at fire flow. If you're gonna put in a line and spend that kind of money, you don't wanna put in a line that does not give fire protection. It-
Yeah. And that's a good point, Kevin, and
There's
I'll
another
bring that.
option of the
I'll bring that up.
Trombley Road, of any houses being built there.
Sure, there's a lot of land back there. There's all kinds of land in the back of there.
and that leads to my question. Now, originally, when we were talking about this project for months, it had been said the private owner where the private road is was gonna be paying for the work over there. Is that still holding true?
I don't have anything in writing. The talks that we have had so far would be that he would, and I hate to even do this because I don't have anything in writing. He would provide the labor and we would pay for the parts. So it
Doesn't sound like a bad deal.
It's not. It's actually, the labor's probably gonna be more than what the cost of the material is, because they're short runs. But you still gotta dig them up, and then you still gotta hook in all the laterals. You still gotta put in the street shut-offs. There's a ton of work there. So, again, those kind of private-public partnerships happen all over the United States. And if he's willing to give the right of way and give that portion of land up for a right of way to do that and do the work, it's a win-win for the taxpayer up there that's gonna have to deal with it. And it's not Mr. Facto, or it's not Mr. Dona, it's not even you. It's the people in the Marshall Water District that are gonna end up footing whatever the extra amount of bill is if it, were to go forward with higher money. Unless we keep it all in our, like we're trying to do.
But when those building lots become more valuable, that would benefit the whole town.
It would benefit the whole town. And it would also benefit the Marshall Water District, because then the cost of the water district is split by more people. And that is what the name of the game is. The name of the game is to interest people to build in your town, to give them the opportunity and to spur the interest to have things in your town that will allow people to want to build here. That, we can have different conversations of it, but if the town doesn't move forward, with its amenities, especially this water supply and things of that nature, and keep it up to code, who's gonna wanna spend $300,000-400,000 to build a house there, or even, you know, if you're putting up a mobile home, they're 100 grand now. They're 105, 110, 15 grand, okay? And nobody's going to wanna do that unless the town is making the investment into the needs of the people. And that is inclusive of your community events. You know, not everybody, I'm not gonna go out there, Mr. Dona, and go underneath that splash pad. Not with water coming in at 58, 62 degrees during the summer,
Yeah,
but kids will. I
yeah.
used to have to rip my kids out of the ocean when we go to Maine and New Hampshire because their lips are turning purple and they still wanted to be in the ocean. But, you know, we're gonna need to invest in the town and have projects to show that we're investing in our town, to entice people to even stay here, much less build here. And that's what I've been trying to do for 3 years.
I just find it hard to believe that anybody would invest $300,000 into a home up there with the amount of ground pollution there is up there. You'd have vegetables growing out of the ground glowing at night, you know?
And I'm not gonna say that anywhere through that area that you're gonna see a $300,000 house. But I just got done telling you, even a mobile home where that area
Oh, yeah.
is 10 to,
Yeah,
is still $115,000 to the base asset of the community and helps with everything. Not everybody can afford a $300,000 house, but they may be able to afford, you know, a $70,000 to $100,000 mobile home.
but to me, I almost wonder why, with the amount of pollution that's in the ground up there, why FEMA doesn't buy out those places and shut that road right down.
Well, good luck with that, because that wouldn't be FEMA anyways, that would have been the federal government, because, and I won't even get into that on the record up there, but DEC was well aware of what was going on up there, and they do have, it is a Superfund, and they do have a station that they watch groundwater up there and have for
Yeah.
at least 20 years that I'm aware of.
Just one more thing, and then I won't bring it up again, I promise, okay? There's a service station there. And if this water main goes through by that service garage over there, how do you build a commercial building under town water? I mean, what rate would you have? What would his bill be? Like a home?
It'd be like, it would have to
Right
be
now.
metered. Right now, he would
Right
be a
now,
business,
he
so
would-
he'd be at least two units, so that'd be $130 a quarter.
But not right now. I mean, that's if they go forward with the Morsel Water project and we switch to EDUs, they would be considered probably at least 2 EDUs. But right now, they would be
Two units,
paying an ad valorem
$130
rate
and $130 a
and
quarter.
$130.
You already have one on 22B.
Yeah.
Across from the beach. What's he paying?
$65 a quarter, because we haven't raised it for some reason, and that's been a thorn in.
If the water project goes through and we switch to EDUs, we've even called other towns for schools, EDUs and all that. There's a lot of fluctuation there. We're way off the topic here, but there's a lot of fluctuation there.
Hey, you put me on the water
On what?
committee, so
The-
here I am.
Well, good, come down here and start helping me with
And
it.
I hope you reappoint
So,
me for next year.
rather than doing this. But like I said, the Allenberg, I think they switched that one, 3 years in a row before they finally got a equal balance where they're happy with it. And it's up to the town sets it for that water district. So that way that cost is, yeah, the guys paying the school tax probably ain't gonna like it, but it's spread out amongst a much bigger group. And there is a theorem of how many EDUs a school should be charged, depending on the size of the school, okay? So if you got your middle school, your grade school, your middle school, and your high school, the EDUs are gonna be a lot higher for that campus than it would be, say, for, say, Morrisonville School, which is only a grade school to not even middle school, you know what I mean? So, but they take up a pretty healthy chunk, and it's a lot more than what they are paying right now for water. And that was the first thing that I found out when we're looking at it, is that our water rates are really way too low, especially for businesses. And I shouldn't say that, because it's an attitude, and it's a opinion of the board of the municipality, because some people on boards for municipalities also go the other way to spur business in, which brings more money in, okay? They'll actually lower businesses' EDUs, you know? The
That's pretty hard to
schools
do.
are pretty much, you know, standard by
Yeah.
the size of the units, how many kids are using water there, how many employees are there using water. They're definitely using more water than the average consumer does in their home here. That's
But getting back to Rixon Avenue, you had mentioned to me about putting this main down Rixon Avenue one way or another. And when you were going by the vacant lots, you had initially told me 6 of them. I don't believe there's 6, but you said something to the effect of, just simply for those folks having a water line through their property, they were gonna be billed.
Yes.
Yes.
And what was that billing rate?
It's a half a EDU, whether it's a vacant lot or not. It's a half a EDU.
And that's why Kevin and I, as water clerk, as tax collector, it should be ad valorem, not EDUs.
Yeah.
We have a little difference of opinion on that, but I wish your board would discuss having it as a tax collector, as a water clerk. You should look into ad valorem, so like everybody else, is the only town in the county that has EDUs is Ellenburg, and they just switched it, and they've had
Because of-
problems for 3 years.
Because of, well, I don't know if
They're
they
just
got a
starting to
problem.
get-
They're just getting it leveled out, and that's what happens. You're gonna keep on changing the amount of that EDU until you
Yeah.
hit
Not-
a happy
Not to
medium.
say either one of you aren't doing a good job. I wouldn't say that. However, most towns have got a board for their water districts, and comprised of people who live in the water district who act as consultants for the water district.
Where in the county do you,
Yeah, that's
are
what
you
I'm
talking
thinking,
about?
I know, I
this?
think of
I've
This,
never
this
heard
town
of this.
board has complete control of the water.
Certainly, I mean, and
100%.
But do you have a public board that you can say in any part of this
I don't-
county
I've never
that
heard
of
has
it.
a public water board? We're not Saratoga.
Yeah, there's-
Maybe
You know,
6 more.
they
Yeah.
make stuff like
What
that.
is EDU?
Individual housing unit,
Okay,
Like your school, this is
or
what,
individual unit.
the schools right now pay $3,000 a year for their water. They'd go up to 21,000 and over for the year, our school in Morrisonville. That's, you know,
By
it's
by
a
the-
lot.
by
yeah,
the standard of EDUs. EDUs have an advantage, they have a disadvantage, okay? That is the way that the feds and the state all want to see everything go, is by individual housing unit where everything is split up the same for everybody. Other than how many EDUs you're going to be charged, okay? But that individual housing unit, that price doesn't change. You might pay more than one of them if you're not just a single home resident. That's the good thing, is that it gives you flexibility no matter what the tax rate changes on your house or your home. Ad valorem, it goes by your assessed value, which could go up or down, okay? So, in that case, I agree, I'm torn. We haven't decided what way we're gonna go yet, okay? If we move forward with the project, I'll tell you this, if we don't get it going and done, the paperwork that I need to do right now done by probably January, you're gonna have to worry about it. Because CDBG and USDARD are gonna take back their funding and the bond, and that'll be the end of it. And we're locked in at 1.75, and you're all aware of what the interest rates are now. And that was the lowest interest rate they'd ever seen. That's a 30-year bond. We'll never get that back. I don't even know if we would be able to apply for CDBG or USDARD under the new income levels. because we had to do an income survey to even apply for those, because they're low to moderate grants or a bond. So you had to be under 56,000 for a median income. We met that. With the 2022 numbers, I don't know what'll happen with the census.
Where are we at with that line budget, or that you talked about previously, that we were, did I get on the Schumer and some of the others approved? You said there was a,
No, you're talking about the congressional
Yeah.
funds.
yeah,
We're there. We're still on the short list, okay? Unfortunately, us as towns, the municipalities, all have to have our budget submitted to the counties no later than November 20th. The feds have a little bit longer to get a budget, or they can just say, hey, we're not gonna pass a budget, and go into pretty much a day by day, or 30 days, or whatever. So until we get the federal budget passed, I can't promise that we'll have that funding. But we're still there. We got picked up by 3 senators, and they're all still in office right now. They didn't lose elections, and it's going in as a bipartisan bill. It's backed by Republican and Democratic Senate. So it's got a wicked good chance. It's they come up with a number. It's their congressional funding. Each one of them gets to pick about probably 7 projects throughout the United States, not just New York, the United States, and we got picked up to the tune of $2,600,000 and something.
so that would cut our loan back.
Right, you wouldn't have to take the whole loan. And that's part of the paperwork that I need to do right now, is we need to accept, we've got everything locked, but I need to accept the bond. Doesn't mean we have to spend it. It doesn't, any of it. We can just let the acceptance letter sit there until you take money out of it. It'll go back. Once you take money out of it, naturally, you're gonna be responsible for whatever you take out of it. But there's certain paperwork that needs to be done right now, which they call prior to bid, so that we even know whether the project's still feasible under what we have approved monies for in engineering and in our budgets and in our bond, to make sure that it still can be done for that amount of price. But in order to put it out to bid, I got 5 pieces, I sent that all of you. There's 5 pieces of paper with probably 11 or 12 or 13 different forms that have to be filled out on each one of them. I'm working at for the last week and a half again to get it done. If we don't get that in, you don't have to worry about it, because it's not, the bond and the grants are gonna go away.
So that has to be approved by the board to send in, is that?
Everything is approved already. The only one that we'll have to do a board resolution on is to accept the bond. We've already passed and accepted to get the bond. We've already been approved for the bond. For
So the board's not
USDA.
holding you up right now.
Only on that one piece, and that should be done. The other thing that's holding it up is the archaeological study, which I gave to Donna today. The A is about $2,800,
Yeah.
and then the B, phase 1B was I think it was 26 and 28. So roughly, a little over $5,000. If we had LaBerge do it all, they charge 20%, but they float the money, and then they're gonna charge us anyways. So I wanted to see what the difference was and what their play in it was, and whether they'd be needed for that 20%. Well, the 20% is because they're putting the money and paying for the archaeological survey, and then we pay them back. So that to me didn't make any sense at all. So I told them today that we will do it direct, and that I will take care of that, as long as I knew that I didn't have to supply engineering paperwork and things of that nature to them that they would have to supply. So I was gonna bring that up on our work session, on our meeting night, and I got some of that stuff together. And there's actually a resolution for those 2 archaeological studies. Those have to be done in order to even do the final engineering. Because if he put in the engineering saying the pipe is going right here, and we spend $30,000 doing engineering on that. And then all of a sudden they find out that's an archaeological site that, you know, the natives had at one time or whatever, it could stop the whole project. So it's also required by CDBG and USDARD.
I've already given my opinion, which is that there's
Not- yeah.
likely nothing there based on the old 1856 maps and where the housing was at that point. In terms of natives too, it would be more around the riverfront, and that's the Soper to Dunn Flat Rock, right?
And-
So,
And thank you for doing that. That was,
But I don't
again,
count.
something that I asked her to do for LaBerge temporarily, so
Yeah.
that we could get through some of the engineering to see if she's seen anything locally, our town historian seen anything that could interfere with. The good news is, and that was the first thing that Ron LaBerge said, he goes, if they're willing to do this study for $2,800, he goes, they've already looked into it. They don't just do that because it's based upon the amount of hours they have to spend on it. He goes, they don't see anything that's gonna
Yeah.
obstruct that.
but you gotta have it.
But I can't say that until it's done. It's required by Arch, if I'm not mistaken, and
Who's doing this?
the historical,
No,
historical.
not the
something
Adirondack
like that.
Architectural
Yeah,
Heritage.
it's just,
No, it's some others. There's a lot of A's,
yeah, there's
association
a
of
bunch of them. But it's all required, and we need to do that before we can even put it out to bid to see what it's possible.
Can I ask another question on subject before I forget? Speaking of water, how much, where are we at with the property that just burned? What's the next step there? How we gonna deal with that? Because
I
it's,
don't know how much I can say on record because we might have to further paperwork on that.
well, just to clean it up, I mean, we don't want that to sit down, the
No.
building is sat there.
No, and that will, it'll be what I went through with River Street after that property burnt up there a little bit. Hopefully, a little bit quicker than that one. But yeah, we're already working on that same
So it's a
format.
liability for us being,
It was a
could
lot,
be.
yeah, I agree with you, Michael. It was a liability before. It's
Right.
worse actually now
Right.
because at least it was boarded up
Yeah.
to the most
it's
part.
good nobody got hurt up there.
I agree. The demolition and stuff will be much cheaper now that it's not as much of it. But, yeah, that's something that I'm hoping we can work with the landowners to clean up. But, if not, then we'll do the same thing that they had to do with a couple of their properties.
Speaking of one parallel to that situation, at number 460 Salmon River Road, there's a home that's been abandoned. I was in contact with Mr. LeCount, and he's supposed to be checking into it, reporting back to the board on that issue. So the neighbors over there, the home is not secured. You looked at it, didn't you, Mike? Doors are off it. The neighbors are complaining about wild animals going in and out of there. And so anyway, it's been reported and we expect something to develop on it, I hope.
Yeah, there's multiple distress if you want to keep going with that. I'll give you the list.
Yeah. Okay, that's all.
Anything else?
Oh, we got a lot for the water, we have a lot to discuss on the 15th.
I know, and I'll cut that back a little bit. Alrighty, I appreciate everybody coming out tonight.
Is this adjournment now?
Yeah, why?
Oh, no, I didn't hear it.
Unless you had something to say, that's what I said. Is there anything else? Alright. Thanks, everybody, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yep, let's have a motion from somebody. I'll make the motion to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Facto. My good friend. That's good.